This is American Roots. I'm Nick Spitzer. Gillian Welch and David Rawlings have been out on the road and in Nashville creating old-time soundscapes for almost 2 decades now. Southern music with modern plot twists is their particular specialty. On hearing their recent album, The Harrow and the Harvest, you might think it was a collection of Dust Bowl-era songs. Their influences, in fact, go back even further into American musical history, like Stephen Foster. I talked with David and Gillian about their recent recording and inspired singing.
6 white horses coming 2 by 2. 6 white horses coming 2 by 2. Come for my mother, matter how I love her. 6 white horses coming 2 by 2.
We love that music, and that is the rural American duet tradition, is what we think of ourselves as springing out of. And also, strangely, it was a tradition that happened for a very brief time in the 30s and 40s and then was gone, and it seemed like there was still some ground to be broken there. When we add our tiny little bit of dissonance to some of the notes that we choose and some of the harmonies we use, hopefully move that into the present.
Whoa, now, horses, easy on the wheels. Whoa, now, horses, easy on the wheels. So broken-hearted, up now they started. Whoa, now, horses, easy on the wheels.
Well, there's no point in doing anything unless you bring yourself to it. As much as music is this activity that Dave and I love doing, it's more than that. It's self-expression. It's how we see ourselves in the world.
There was a Camptown man used to plow and sing, and he loved that mule, and the mule loved him. When the day got long, as it does about now, I'd hear him singing to his muley cow, calling, come on, my sweet old girl. And I'd bet the whole damn world that we're gonna make it, yeah, to the end of the road. Singing high times ain't gonna rule my mind. High times ain't gonna rule my mind, Bessie. High times ain't gonna rule my mind no more.
Let me ask you about this tune, Hard Times Ain't Gonna Rule My Mind. I love how you're able to take some of this emotional wisdom from both earlier times and your own sacrifices and put them together. How do you write a song like that?
In pieces.
And slowly, yeah, in pieces, slowly. Dave and I had been spending a lot of time. We'd found a wonderful website that listed every Stephen Foster lyric that the man ever wrote. It was wonderful for me to go through his chronology and see how he'd progressed and refined and just inched his way towards the writing of Hard Times, which was the encapsulation of all these ideas and all this language he had been moving towards.
You know, when he got to Hard Times, he sort of pulled from a lot of his own work, in fact, which is an interesting thing.
I know that actually gave us hope, in a way, to see that the man had been all around it before he really hit it. You know, at that time, I feel like Dave and I ourselves were inching our way forward, trying to get these songs together. And that feeling, I think, went into Hard Times.
Hard times ain't gonna rule my mind.
if the Delmore brothers had continued, do you think they ever would have plugged in, or Woody would have been a Buddy Holly figure, and they would have all gone rocking down the highway if they'd stayed out, alive
It's
and
hard
well?
to say. There's different types of artists. There's the people who are mostly concerned with the message, and any way they can get that across, they'll do it. And then there are those who are concerned with the sound and with the actual artifact. I think I kind of fall in that category. I don't expect that I'll go electric.
I mean, anything that we hear, we want to try to take that and shrink it down into our world. We want to do it with our two guitars in a way, in our duet, and have that feeling and capture whatever emotion is there, but try to rearrange it, because just in that struggle, that's a wonderful way for creative things to happen. If you truly start thinking about how would we do that? How would we capture that?
It's like our whole arranging deal is taking a electric peg and putting it in an acoustic hole.
Well, I got a sister in Beulah Land that shines the sun. I got a sister in Beulah Land that shines the sun. I got a sister in Beulah Land. Way beyond the sky. Oh, come on, go to Beulah Land.
It's like everything, we take all of this stuff, we take in all the world around us, which is obviously a very, noisy, contemporary, modern world, and we reduce it to our acoustic soundscape.
Say you wanna see my garden, and you wanna make it shine. Say you wanna see my blue jeans hanging on your old clothesline, standing in the back door crying. Now you wanna be my friend. That's the way the cornbread crumbles. That's the way the whole thing ends.
The last track on the record seems appropriately enough named. That's The Way the Whole Thing Ends.
It started as a bit of a wry joke, really. We were kind of making fun of ourselves. Well, Dave was really making fun of me. There's an aspect of sometimes our songs are so understated that they truly verge on the boring. So Dave was commenting on the understated nature of.
I was just saying, we might
Some of
write a
our
song
songs.
with one note, and I went ba 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 ba, and I started singing it, and then I got towards the end of the verse phrase, and I thought, this is actually pretty good. I better try to write a chorus right now as I sit here. So, as I was still making the joke, I sort of sang my way through the chorus melody, and
That song has a kind of almost basement tapes quality of nonsense or non sequitur. Which
Wait.
is something that's really common in folk music, of
And
course,
kids' songs especially,
and,
too.
and
Yeah.
kids songs, yeah. And I like that flavor is on this record, because we have a deep appreciation for
yeah,
that.
we tried
that
to do
stuff.
something a little different with that song. We actually did write quite a lot for that song. There are probably another 20 verses to that song that aren't
really?
on the record, and then tried to whittle it down in the way that those that folk songs do get whittled down. We sort of just left a little skeleton of the whole story, and I love what that does.
That's the way the cornbread crumbles. That's the way the whole thing ends.
I do feel like there's some kind of a quiet and possibly not so quiet acoustic revolution going on. The environment is quite different than when Dave and I started, when we were making our first record. Kind of felt like I was all alone in the acoustic wilderness. And now
there's so many people who we look around and we see people drawing from the same influences and working in the same world.
You've got a generation of followers.
Well,
that's really flattering.
To know that some of those people are musicians in their own right and they're taking pieces of the work, or they're pointed in a direction by what we do, is obviously it's a great feeling.
Gillian Welch and David Rawlings talking about their ideal world of music, concluding there with The Way the Whole Thing Ends from the recent recording The Harrow and the Harvest. A bit more of Gillian and David's music and influences coming up. I suspect that with their quest for voices of antiquity, they'd appreciate the African-American duo of Tarter and Gay from Johnson City, Tennessee, recorded by Ralph Peer during the famed Bristol, Tennessee Victor Sessions in 1928. It's Unknown Blues on American Roots.
Some blues are something terrible. They do keep you full of pain.